Welcome to Revisit Books podcast, where we turn books into bite-sized wisdom you can use every day. Today, we're jumping into a really substantial work, one that's influenced so many people over the years. Awaken the Giant Within. And I think, if you're listening and you've ever felt that sense that there's just more inside you, like this huge potential you haven't quite unlocked consistently, then this discussion, looking at the blueprint the author lays out, is definitely for you.
Absolutely. That potential, he calls it the sleeping giant. That's really the heart of the book. His whole approach, built over, decades of work, really zeroes in on one core question: what actually shapes our behavior? And then crucially, once we get that, how can we consciously steer it? How can we expand that capacity and, importantly, share it? The main idea is simple but powerful. We all have this unique talent, this genius within us. The book's about waking it up and, starting to design life instead of just reacting to it.
I like that framing. It feels really empowering, suggesting the tools are already there, just needing to be activated and pointed in the right direction. Okay, let's get into this exploration. So the book kicks off with a really personal story from the author, a moment he actually calls his Genesis moment. Oh, that wasn't gradual, was it? It sounds like a real turning point.
Oh, absolutely. It was definitive. He talks about reaching this point, this threshold, where he finally just said, I've had it. He felt he was living so far below what he was capable of mentally, physically, emotionally. And that one raw moment of clarity, of pain really, led to a concrete decision to change pretty much everything. He just refused to settle anymore.
Right.
And that story highlights a key theme. Big, lasting change often doesn't start with a vague wish. It starts with that absolute shift in commitment.
And that leads right into the core problem the book tackles, doesn't it? Why do so many people struggle to get what they want? He argues it's about focus, or rather a lack of it.
Exactly. He puts it quite bluntly. Most people never direct our focus, and they never concentrate our power. They dabble. They try a bit of this, a bit of that, maybe wait for inspiration to strike. They get caught up in minor things instead of committing to mastering what truly matters.
Majoring in minor things. That phrase really hits home, especially now.
It does.
It feels like today's world, with all the constant pings and notifications, it just amplifies that tendency, right?
Right.
We feel busy, but are we actually moving towards mastery?
That's the danger of undirected energy. If you're always letting external stuff pull your focus, you simply can't get the sustained concentration needed for the big things. Building a business, mastering a skill, really nurturing a relationship. The book basically presents itself as the plan to counter that fragmented way of living.
So if the issue is scattered focus and temporary fixes, the book's mission is to give us a solid framework, a plan for change that actually sticks.
Precisely. It aims to provide the organizing principles of lasting change. He acknowledges that most attempts, like starting a diet or a workout plan, they fizzle out. Why? Because we unconsciously think the pain of changing is high, but the reward will be short-lived. We expect disappointment, so we slide back.
Makes sense.
So the book's mission is to fight that cycle, to give a comprehensive roadmap for real transformation emotionally, physically, and financially.
Okay, so given that mission, who really needs this roadmap the most? Who's the ideal learner here?
Well, first off, it's definitely for anyone feeling adrift. The person who feels like they're just, going with the flow, they're reacting to news, reacting to fears, reacting to whatever's happening around them instead of consciously choosing their direction.
That sounds like what he calls the Niagara syndrome. That metaphor really stuck with me.
It's incredibly vivid, isn't it? The idea is life's this powerful river. Most people just jump in without picking a destination. They get swept along by the environment, the culture, until suddenly they hear this roar. Yeah. They look up and bam, they're 5 feet from Niagara Falls, in a boat, no oars, about to go over the edge, financially, emotionally, whatever, all because they never took control of their direction. This book is meant to be the manual for grabbing those oars, ideally before you even hear the fall.
Right, that sense of urgency. It also seems aimed squarely at the reluctant changer.
Yeah.
The person who knows they need to do something, start the business, quit the habit, but they just keep putting it off.
And that reluctance, the book argues, comes from this deep internal conflict. Unconsciously, their nervous system links more pain to actually doing the effort, the risk, maybe feeling deprived, than it links to just staying the same. Like dieting, the pain of not eating the cake is immediate. The pleasure of being fit, That feels distant, uncertain.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that calculation, choosing the couch over the workout because the couch is immediate pleasure.
Exactly. So until you consciously rewire that internal calculation, you'll keep delaying. The book provides the techniques to deliberately shift that pain-pleasure balance.
So it's more than just get motivated. It's a system for re-engineering what drives you.
Absolutely. It goes way beyond willpower, which he points out is often flaky and runs out. It's really designed for anyone looking for a practical, step-by-step way to make their emotions work for them, not against them, to turn emotions from something that fuels procrastination or anxiety into a tool that automatically helps you reach your potential. It offers specific ways to trigger change quickly, sometimes in moments, not years.
Okay, let's dive into the core lessons. Starting with what feels like the absolute foundation, the power of decision. The book says decision is the father of action. Everything stems from it.
That's the bedrock, yes. Our destiny isn't just luck or fate, it's actively shaped in those moments we decide. But, and this is crucial, he draws a very sharp line between a true decision and just, a preference.
Right. Most of us state preferences, don't we? I'd like to lose weight. I hope I can save more. It's like a wish list.
Exactly. A true decision, he argues, involves two things: total commitment and taking new action. He points to the words origin Latin de, meaning from, and cadere, to cut. So a real decision means you commit to one outcome and you literally cut yourself off from any other possibility.
Cut yourself off. That's intense, like burning the bridges behind you.
Precisely. If you decide to be financially independent, you cut off the option of wasteful spending. If someone commits to sobriety, they cut off the possibility of even one drink. If there's still a backdoor escape route in your mind, you haven't truly decided.
And making that final cut, is that what gives it power?
He argues yes. It creates a kind of mental relief, paradoxically. You stop wasting energy debating options. All your focus goes to the committed path. That's why he says the real measure of a decision is simple. Did you take new action? If not, you're still just thinking about it.
The book uses some powerful examples to make this real. Historical moments, personal struggles.
Absolutely. Think about Rosa Parks in 1955. Her refusal to give up her seat wasn't just a random act, it was a decision rooted in deep conviction. And that one, committed action, ignited the Montgomery bus boycott, fundamentally shifting the civil rights movement. It shows the immense power packed into a single decisive moment.
And then there's the story of Ed Roberts.
Yeah.
That one's about personal endurance against incredible odds.
An amazing story. Paralyzed by polio at 14, reliant on an iron lung every single night. Extreme physical limits. But he decided not to focus on what was lost, but on what he could do. He chose to make a difference, becoming a pivotal leader in the disability rights movement.
Wow.
His life screams that circumstances don't dictate destiny. The power of decision does. Even in the face of immense challenges, that determination shapes an extraordinary life. #B. The 3 elementary principles of lasting change.
Okay, so you've made that powerful, committed decision. What next? The book lays out 3 core principles to make sure the change actually lasts. Principle 1 is about setting the bar higher.
Principle 1, raise your standards, what you must do. This is absolutely fundamental. You have to establish a new baseline. What will you simply not tolerate in your life anymore? And, just as importantly, what do you aspire to become? It's shifting from, I probably should do better here, to, I must achieve this.
That shift from should to must. It sounds subtle, but it feels huge. Should leaves wiggle room. Must demands action.
It's everything. Without that non-negotiable internal standard, it's just too easy to slip back. Think about historical figures who refused to accept less. Gandhi rejecting colonial rule, Martin Luther King Jr. demanding equality now. They changed the internal rules of what was acceptable for themselves and for others.
But just having high standards isn't enough, right? I can write down a list of musts and still fail. That brings us to principle 2. Change your belief systems. Certainty.
Exactly. Standards without belief are just wishes. Beliefs are the commands running the show. They tell you what's possible or impossible for you. So you have to cultivate this deep, almost unquestioning sense of certainty that you can and will meet those new standards, even when things look tough.
It's that certainty that unlocks your resources, isn't it? If you know you'll succeed, you just keep going when others would quit.
That's the engine. Like, look at Gandhi again. It wasn't just his standards, it was his absolute belief in nonviolent power.
Yeah.
That certainty gave him the emotional fuel to face down an empire. Empowering beliefs unlock your potential.
The book mentions a study about optimists and pessimists, too, relating to this certainty idea.
Yes, that's fascinating.
Yep.
It found that pessimists are often more realistic about their poor performance when they first try something difficult. They take the failure personally, I'm just not good at this, and often give up. Learned helplessness.
Okay.
But the optimists, they often overestimate how well they did initially. They kind of gloss over the mistakes.
So they're delusional.
Not exactly. That slight positive bias, that unrealistic evaluation, is actually key to their long-term success. They don't get bogged down by early failures. They focus on the little bits that went right and maintain the certainty that they will figure it out eventually. It's a strategic way to bypass the paralysis of self-doubt.
I see. It's not about ignoring reality, but about managing your focus and belief to fuel action. Okay, so we have standards, the musts, and beliefs, the certainty. We still need the how. Principle 3, change your strategy. Action and modeling.
Right. Knowing isn't doing. You have to take action and, crucially, use effective strategies. This is where modeling is so powerful. Find someone who's already getting the results you want.
Yeah.
Learn their approach. Why struggle to invent a solution when a proven one exists?
And the story of Suichiro Honda is like the ultimate case study for this. Persistence plus smart strategy.
Oh, it's incredible. A real masterclass. Back in '38, he poured everything he had into making a better piston ring for Toyota. Worked like crazy, slept in the workshop.
And Toyota rejected it initially.
Yep.
Rejected. But did he quit? No. He spent 2 more years refining it until they finally said yes. That's persistence.
But then the war and shortages afterwards. More obstacles.
Huge obstacles. After the war, gasoline was scarce. He desperately needed to get food. So he rigged a small motor onto his bicycle. Just a practical fix.
Ah, necessity is the mother of invention.
Truly. And then his neighbors saw it and wanted one too. Demand exploded, but he had no money, no parts.
So what did he do? That sounds like a dead end.
He got creative. He wrote this incredibly passionate letter to 18,000 bicycle shop owners across Japan, appealing to their shared desire to rebuild the country. 5,000 of them believe in him and fronted the capital. Amazing, right?
Wow.
His first motorized bike was a bit clunky, but he didn't stop there. He adapted his strategy again. He redesigned it, made it lighter, simpler, and created the Super Cub. It became a massive global hit. His whole story is just relentless decision, action, strategic adjustment in the face of constant setbacks. All right, let's shift gears to what the book calls the sovereign masters, controlling all our behavior. This feels like the engine under the hood of his whole system.
It really is. The core idea is that everything we do, every single choice, is driven by one of two forces: the need to avoid pain or the desire to gain pleasure. From tiny choices like hitting snooze to huge ones like changing careers, it's all filtered through this unconscious calculation.
But the calculation often focuses on the immediate pain or pleasure, right? Not the long-term consequences.
That's the critical distinction, yes. And that's where we get tripped up. We create these neuroassociations, links in our nervous system about what causes pain or pleasure, and sometimes those links are just plain wrong.
Like the author's own story about beer.
Exactly. As a kid, he linked drinking beer with the pleasure of feeling more fun, like his dad seemed when drinking. The link was false. It wasn't the beer creating the fun state, but his brain was wired to seek it. His mom had to step in and create a very painful, immediate association with beer to break that wiring.
It makes you realize how much advertising relies on hijacking this system. They're constantly trying to build these neuroassociations for us.
Oh, they're masters at it. Think about it. They use exciting music, celebrities, captivating stories, anything to get you into a peak emotional state and then flash the product. Pepsi using Michael Jackson back in the 80s. Genius move. They linked all that insane excitement and youth energy directly to their drink. It created a powerful new association that stole market share.
And the California raisins example is another great one, taking something kind of boring.
Right. Raisins were seen as healthy but dull. The industry was struggling. Then came those animated raisins, dancing to Motown. Suddenly, raisins were linked to fun, energy, excitement.
And sales went up.
Dramatically, like 20% growth soon after. They successfully changed the neuroassociation from boredom to pleasure.
So this system, hardwired for immediate gratification, is what often sabotages our bigger goals. We avoid the short-term pain needed for long-term gain.
It's the biggest trap. Real success almost always requires pushing through some short-term discomfort, The discipline to save, the effort to exercise, the focus to study for a much larger later reward, and ignoring that, avoiding the necessary short-term pain, can lead to massive long-term pain.
The Exxon Valdez disaster is brought up as a stark example of this on a huge scale.
A tragic illustration. Exxon chose to avoid the short-term pain, the cost of fitting their tankers with double hulls, a safety measure. That decision, driven by immediate financial calculation, led directly to unimaginable long-term pain. Environmental devastation, public fury, a billion-dollar cleanup and payout. It shows how prioritizing immediate comfort over necessary investment can be catastrophic.
So if pain and pleasure are the levers, then neuroassociative conditioning, NAC, is the method for deliberately pulling those levers, right? The science of rewiring ourselves for lasting change.
That's it, exactly. NAC is the practical how-to. The formula is pretty straightforward, conceptually at least. You need to link intense, unbearable, immediate pain to the old behavior you want to stop. And at the same time, link incredible, immediate pleasure to the new, empowering behavior you want to adopt. And then, this is key, you have to condition that new wiring until it's automatic, like paving a mental highway, not just hacking a rough path through the jungle.
The book breaks it down into 6 steps, but maybe we can focus on the core actions needed. Step 1 seems crucial. Gain leverage.
Leverage is everything. You can't just want to change, you have to feel you must. This means getting really, really dissatisfied with the way things are, creating massive internal pressure. Why? Because internal pressure, I have to change this for myself, is way more powerful and sustainable than external pressure. My doctor says I should. You have to vividly imagine the future pain of not changing. Feel it. Make it real. That's leverage.
Okay, got the leverage. Step 2, interrupt the pattern. Our brains love habits, even bad ones. We need to shake things up.
We absolutely do. You have to break that automatic neurological loop. He uses the analogy of a fly banging against a window pane. It's motivated. It wants out. But it keeps using the same failed strategy. It needs to interrupt its pattern and try something else, like the open door right next to it. An interruption can be anything that jolts you out of the routine, something weird, funny, sudden, change your posture, yell, snap your fingers, anything to break the trance of the old pattern.
Makes sense. Then, step 3, create a new alternative. You can't just stop the old thing. You need something better to replace it.
This is where many attempts fail. People stop smoking, for instance, but they haven't replaced the need that smoking was filling, maybe stress relief or a feeling of connection. The new alternative has to be empowering, and your brain has to believe it delivers at least as much pleasure or pain relief as the old habit did. He mentions Fran Tarkenton, the football player, quitting smoking. He didn't just stop. He replaced the urge by pouring that energy intensely into building his business. That became his new source of compelling pleasure and focus.
Right, a positive replacement. And the final core step, condition the new pattern, making it stick.
This is rehearsal time. You have to practice the new response, the new thought pattern over and over, and not just mechanically with real emotional intensity. Every time you choose the new empowering response, like responding to stress with calm breathing instead of reaching for junk food, you strengthen that neural pathway. The goal is to make it so strong, so automatic, that it becomes your default, your go-to highway for that situation.
Now, the book applies this NAC process across different areas of life, framing them as destinies we can shape. Let's touch on emotional destiny.
Yeah, this is about mastering your typical emotional state. Are you usually living in frustration, fear, overwhelm? Or are you cultivating states like gratitude, curiosity, passion, confidence? The aim isn't to never feel negative emotions, but to consciously choose and cultivate empowering ones as your default, especially when facing challenges. Your consistent emotional state arguably determines your success more than anything else.
Then there's physical mastery. So important, yet often overlooked when people focus on career or money.
He asks a really powerful question. What's the point of achieving all your dreams if you don't have the health and energy to actually enjoy them? Physical health, he argues, needs that same commitment to constant and never-ending improvement, CNI. It's about strategy. Smart exercise, both aerobic and anaerobic, and really fueling your body properly. Paying attention to what you consume.
It's not just don't get sick, it's about actively building vitality.
Exactly. It involves finding exercise you actually enjoy that gets your heart rate up but also builds strength. And being strategic about nutrition, hydration, focusing on whole foods, limiting the stuff that drains energy like excess sugar and processed fats, it's an active investment in your primary vehicle.
And finally, financial destiny. He cautions against making money the ultimate goal, right? Calls it a cultural delusion.
Right. The trap is thinking money itself equals happiness. Often, he notes, it just brings new pressures. The real shift is seeing money as a tool, especially a tool for contribution. To build wealth, the focus shouldn't be just on getting money, but on increasing your value. How can you become so skilled, so helpful, so indispensable that you offer immense value to others? That's the path to earning more.
So increasing value is how you earn. What about keeping it?
Two key things there. Protect what you have and understand how wealth grows. He talks about the basics. Compounding interest, having an emergency fund, diversifying investments. You need to become a savvy manager of your finances, not just someone who earns and spends. The ultimate aim, he suggests, isn't just piles of cash, but generating enough passive income to cover your needs, freeing you up to focus on contribution and purpose. Hashtag, EHI, focus, questions, and language.
Okay, let's talk about the mental controls we have. The book emphasizes focus first. What we choose to focus on, what we decide things mean, and what we choose to do about them that shapes everything.
Focus is like the lens of your camera. Where you point it determines the picture you get of reality. Think about people who experience tragedy. Some get stuck asking, why me? Life's unfair. That focus keeps them trapped in victimhood.
But others, like W. Mitchell, who had those terrible accidents, he focused differently.
Radically differently. After being burned and paralyzed, he deliberately chose to ask questions like, okay, how can I use this? What can I contribute because of this? That shift in focus completely changed the meaning of his experience. It went from tragedy to a source of strength and a catalyst for contribution. His focus literally redirected his life.
And that leads right into the power of questions. Asking different questions changes your focus instantly.
Our brains are like search engines. Ask a lousy question like, why do I always mess up? And it will diligently find all the evidence to prove you right. But ask an empowering question like, what's one small thing I can do right now to move forward? Or how can I feel more resourceful in this moment? Your brain immediately shifts to finding solutions in positive states.
He suggests making this a daily habit with the morning power questions.
Yes, a really practical tool. The idea is to intentionally start your day in a peak state by asking and feeling the answers to questions like, what am I happy about right now? What specifically makes me happy about that? How does that feel then? What am I excited about? What am I proud of? Just taking a few minutes to genuinely connect with positive feelings sets a powerful tone for the day.
Then there's the third lever, language, specifically transformational vocabulary. The actual words we use change how we feel.
Absolutely. Words aren't just labels, they carry emotional intensity. Think about the difference between saying I'm furious versus I'm a bit annoyed, or I'm devastated versus I'm disappointed. By consciously choosing words with lower intensity for negative feelings, you literally dial down the negative emotion you experience. Your brain responds to the specific word you feed it.
So even small word choices matter in conversation.
They really do. If you constantly describe challenges as disasters or nightmares, that's the emotional reality you create. If you reframe them as challenges or learning opportunities, your whole state shifts. You activate different resources.
This connects to the idea of metaphors, too, how they shape our reality.
Metaphors are huge because they bring a whole hidden set of rules and expectations with them. If your metaphor for life is a battle, what does that imply?
Struggle, winners and losers, defensiveness, exhaustion probably.
Exactly. But if your metaphor is life is a dance or a garden to be cultivated, that brings a completely different set of feelings and behaviors. Flow, growth, nurturing, patience.
The story of Martin Sheen during Apocalypse Now is an amazing example of using a metaphor to interrupt a negative pattern.
Just brilliant. He has a heart attack on set. Understandably, he's terrified. Doctors, machines, serious talk everywhere. His wife, Janet, sees he's spiraling into fear. When he opens his eyes, she doesn't feed the fear. She smiles and says, "It's just a movie, babe. It's only a movie."
Wow. What a reframe.
Instantly changed everything. It reframed the life-threatening crisis into something temporary, something with an endpoint. Like the director will eventually yell, "Cut!" That metaphor gave him permission to relax, reduced the perceived severity, and helped him start healing. Powerful stuff. Hashtag of constant and never-ending improvement. CANI.
Okay, wrapping up the core takeaways with a principle that ties it all together for the long haul. CANI, constant and never-ending improvement.
Yes, the Japanese call it kaizen. It's the philosophy that true security doesn't come from standing still. It comes from knowing you're actively getting better every single day. improving who you are, what you know, and critically, the value you bring to others. It's not about reaching some final perfect state, but embracing improvement as a continuous journey.
It sounds great, but also maybe a bit daunting. How do you constantly improve without getting overwhelmed? Seems like that could trigger the pain avoidance thing again.
That's where the strategy is key. Look at Pat Riley, the legendary NBA coach. He didn't ask his already elite players for massive leaps. That feels overwhelming, maybe even impossible. Instead, he asked each player to improve their personal best in key areas by just 1%.
1%? That sounds tiny.
Individually, yes, but that's the magic. 1% is believable. Everyone felt they could achieve that small improvement. Now, multiply that tiny gain across 12 players, across 5 different skill sets.
Yeah.
The collective improvement for the team becomes huge, exponential even.
Ah, I see. The small, achievable steps build momentum and confidence.
Exactly. The CNI discipline works because it focuses on manageable progress, which builds certainty and makes the improvement sustainable. It's about accumulating small wins daily.
So how can someone listening apply this discipline starting today? The book suggests a daily review.
Yes, a simple but powerful daily audit. At the end of each day, just take a moment to ask yourself 3 questions. 1, what have I learned today? 2, what did I contribute or improve today? And 3, what did I enjoy today?
I like that last one. What did I enjoy? It keeps the focus on fulfillment, not just grinding.
It's vital. By consciously acknowledging and appreciating enjoyment, learning, and contribution daily, you're actively conditioning yourself for a richer, more rewarding life experience. You're making sure the journey itself is worthwhile.
We've covered a lot of ground unpacking these principles for lasting change. If you had to boil down the book's ultimate message, the source of real deep fulfillment, what would it be?
I think it comes down to contribution. The book argues powerfully that lasting happiness doesn't come just from getting what you want, but from growing and giving back. When you commit to contributing beyond yourself, whether it's time, energy, resources like the examples of Robin Williams helping the homeless or Arnold Schwarzenegger with the Special Olympics, you tap into a deeper sense of purpose. Contribution gives you goals that are bigger than just your own needs, and that keeps you growing and engaged.
So it shifts the focus from what can I get to what can I give or create.
Exactly, and making that shift often requires, or it leads to, a shift in identity. This brings up maybe the most crucial question the book prompts you to ask. What kind of person do I need to become to achieve everything I want? Real change isn't just about tweaking habits. It's about fundamentally upgrading your sense of self, your core belief about who you are, so that your identity naturally supports the actions and results you desire. You can't consistently act inconsistently with the way you see yourself.
So the final nudge is really about recognizing that the power to decide, the power to shape that identity, is available right now today.
That's the essence. Success isn't about waiting for some big event. It's built in the small, daily decisions, what you focus on, the questions you ask, the words you use, the standards you hold. It's about choosing gratitude, choosing curiosity, choosing passion, choosing to improve today and every day. That's how you awaken the giant within.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. The book focuses heavily on transforming your individual identity. But think about how these same principles raise standards, shared beliefs of certainty, a commitment to CNI, apply to groups, to families, teams, communities. What kind of collective identity are you helping to build? Because the culture we create, the standards we set together, that might be the most lasting contribution of all. That's today's breakdown. While this discussion cannot replace the book's full text, it can offer a glimpse into its teachings. I hope you found this discussion helpful, and I look forward to sharing more. Let me know what book next you want to discuss.